Around 10,000 years ago, human societies began transitioning from the nomadic hunter-gatherer lifestyles into settled agricultural communities, but this was one of the biggest turning points in human history. And the invention of agriculture also fundamentally changed the lives of women a lot. Here is why childbirth was particularly attacked and managed through fear from the governing forces. Back it up. This is about to be a her story lesson. For the first time, land ownership became central to survival and prosperity. As the families accumulated the property was passed from father to son, whose physical strength was being utilized the most to work the field and to protect it. It was like their projects, they own it kind of thing. And because inheritance depended on paternal lineage, men needed the certainty about the paternity of their children, and this meant that they wanted the control over women and their reproductive lives. Women were beginning to be viewed as reproductive assets then, whose primary role was to produce heirs who would inherit family land and the wealth rather than being a co-leader, or in many places the primary leading energy of the family unit or tribe. So marriage was invented and intended to be a clerically marked transfer of a woman from the authority of her father to the authority of her reproductive partner. This was done through dowries and bride prices primarily. And again, marriage was increasing control and predictability. How better then, after that, to get the people on board, especially the mothers and especially the poor folks who didn't have money or assets to trade for reproductive certainty, to sign up for this level of control? How about a healthy dose of fear? Let's call it sin. Eventually, the leaders were quick to get the church and the spiritual leaders in on the deal, as there was definitely resistance to this practice by women, or people who really cared, or had some power in their families. So isn't it kind of weird also how the government still to this day has to encourage us to do it? The document part, but not the pair bonding part. But anyways, I digress. At the same time, the family structures were massively shifting. In the earlier hunter-gatherer societies, the children were cared for by the larger tribe, all sexes, all ages, at varying times and stages in life. But in agricultural communities, women became the primary caregivers of not only the infants, but also for the older children, not to mention those who couldn't physically work the field anymore. And over time, this reinforced the idea that women were naturally suited for caregiving, and then added to the push of confining them into the domestic roles. Someone told me the term weaponized incompetence, and this fits. Yet even during the rise of the patriarchy, one area remained firmly under women's control for a long-ass time: childbirth. Birth was still considered a female domain for a very, very, very long time comparatively. How is this possible? More in the next video.